Questions.
All questions. Questions. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, soon to be Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre. Here we go, folks.
Mr. Speaker, this is the most costly centralizing government in Canadian history. This government is bad for Quebec. The government has broken the immigration system, doubled the cost of housing, and doubled the debt.
Damn, translator's coming out hot.
It's bizarre that the Bloc Québécois leader has become the worst negotiator in Canadian history. The Bloc Québécois leader decided to vote 2 more times their confidence in this government to keep them in power without gaining a thing for agriculture or for seniors. Does the government wish to thank the Bloc Québécois leader?
She's translating faster than Pierre's talking. How is that even possible? Oh, my goodness. W's in the chat for the translator. That was impressive.
Falkirk, Eastman, Interlake, please. The Honourable Ministre des Services.
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative leader mentioned that something is bizarre. Let me tell you what's bizarre. In Canada, there are 2.4 million seniors who received their Canada Dental Care Plan. 800,000 of them are in Quebec. Several 100,000 Canadians have been able to receive dental care, sometimes for the first time in decades. It's odd, though, because the Conservative leader says that the Canada Dental Care Plan does not exist. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Parliament seems to be paralyzed because the Prime Minister goes against your judgment. The Prime Minister refuses to give evidence to the RCMP about yet another Liberal scandal. The scandal is that top execs appointed by Liberals paid $400 million to their own businesses, which is a total of 184 conflicts of interest, according to the Auditor General. Why would the Prime Minister go against your government and refuse to provide evidence in yet another Liberal scandal? The Honourable Government House Leader.
Translator's on point today.
What the Opposition Leader just said is completely false. These Conservatives currently are trying to do away with charter-protected rights by using extraordinary powers. They want to take independence away from police in our society. They don't seem to understand what a dangerous precedent they are starting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Paralyzed, unable to work on the problem of doubling housing costs or 2 million people at the food bank because the government is refusing to respect your ruling to turn over evidence in the criminal investigation of the leadership.
Wow.
The issue is that Liberal appointees directed $400 million to companies they own involving 184 conflicts of interest, according to the Auditor General. Why is the Prime Minister breaking your ruling to cover up criminal evidence in the latest Liberal scandal?
W's for Pierre, man.
Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, the Leader of the Opposition is negating to tell the whole truth to Canadians, because what the Conservatives are doing are trying to use the extraordinary powers of this place to circumvent the judicial requirement of police to protect the charter rights of Canadians. Now, I want to believe that the Leader of the Opposition doesn't understand what he's doing, but I'm even more concerned that he does understand, and the charter rights of Canadians are not important to him.
Yeah, I don't think so, buddy pal.
Leader of the Opposition.
It should be no surprise that Liberals believe that white-collar criminals can hand over $400 million to their own companies, because we see the case of the dirtbag Tibor Organo, who shot a police officer in the stomach yesterday while on bail after having been arrested for 24 offenses he committed while he was out on probation. So let's get this straight. He's out on probation for many crimes. He gets arrested for violating probation, so he gets released on bail and shoots a police officer. When will this government finally accept that their hug-a-thug, catch-a-release system is putting our people at risk?
Hug-a-thug. How does Pierre come up up with all these?
In the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our hearts go out to the police officer because no police officer should be hurt in the line of duty. But, Mr. Speaker, what is extremely concerning is what the Leader of the Opposition is doing in this House today, where he is trampling the charter rights of Canadians. Whether it is in this House, whether it is outside, Canadians need to be extremely alarmed about the fact that when it comes to their rights, his first instinct is to trample over them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hug a thug. Let's get some hug a thugs down in the comments.
The opposition.
I think you have a charter right to get released after 24 offenses while you're already on probation and shoot a police officer in the stomach. I'm more worried about the charter rights of the police officer who's recovering from the gunshot.
Yeah. From that hug a thug policy.
This is what the police officer said. Almost everyone we arrest is out on bail. No one stays in jail where they belong. The city and the feds just don't care. It just doesn't bother them. It doesn't matter how many die and if a cop gets shot.
That's right.
What's wrong with you people?
Whoa! Hug a thug policies. What's wrong with you liberals, man? You got people killing other people that are released out on bail. Cop killers.
The opposition as well as all members of Parliament.
The hell's wrong with you too, Fergus?
And answers should be directed through the chair. The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, when the men and women in uniform in my city of Toronto or right across the country are harmed in the course of their work, they deserve our absolute respect and solidarity, which we always provide to them. In terms of decisions that are made about bail, these are important considerations. They're considerations where we've made amendments to the bail regime. What happens after amendments are made at the federal parliament is that the ball turns over to the provinces. We need to ask genuine questions about who's making decisions about granting or denying bail. Provincially appointed JPs. About provincial crowns who are making decisions about whether to review bail and what kind of conditions to impose. Those are questions that need to be asked because we need...
Protect first responders, man. This government doesn't give a shit about first responders.
Not take the floor until he is recognized. L'honorable député de La Prairie.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. The House's will is clear. Yesterday, the House demanded that the government give a royal recommendation to C319 to increase old age security by 10% for 65 to 74-year-olds. This is the only permanent solution to put an end to having two classes of seniors. So the Liberals have a choice. Either they respect the will of elected representatives, or they will learn the hard way that voters side with seniors too. Will they give C319 a royal recommendation, or will they have to update their CVs? The Honourable Minister of Labour and
This is so rotten.
Mr. Speaker, the member for La Prairie's CV has something rather important. His CV shows that he voted against the new federal Canadian dental care plan. 6,900 people from his riding are signed up for the Canadian dental care plan, Mr. Speaker. The whole Bloc Québécois, every time we put forward measures to help Quebec's seniors, the Bloc Québécois votes against them, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de La Prairie.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Well, surely the minister knows that in his riding alone, the riding of Gatineau,
look at him screaming.
Seniors aged 65 to 74 who he is depriving of 10% of their OAS. He's the one who's responsible for that. He's the minister for his seniors. He and his buddies created two classes of seniors, and now they're fighting to preserve that injustice against the will of this House. Can he explain to the 30,000 seniors in his riding why, instead of offering them so much as one more penny, he prefers to go to the polls?
Yeah, they're gonna friggin' call an election, man.
There are 30,000 seniors in Gatineau. They, like all seniors in Quebec, like all seniors in Canada, still are so happy about the Liberal government's track record when it comes to helping seniors. We've helped some of the most vulnerable seniors in our society, Mr. Speaker. We enhanced the GIS. We immediately, after forming government we worked towards eventually implementing dental care. The Bloc Québécois was against it, but the Liberal Party is there for the 30,000 seniors in Gatineau and seniors everywhere in Canada.
Smash that like button, folks. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss a single beat.
I would like to remind the member for Rivière-du-Nord, as well as the member for New Westminster Burnaby, to not take the floor when they have not been recognized by the chair. The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, the housing crisis is raging across the country. Under the Liberals, rent doubled. People can't find homes that they can afford. The Conservatives, they would have us believe that they're the solution, when actually they're part of the problem. When he was Minister of Housing, the Conservative leader built 6 apartments, 6 units. Meanwhile, he also let 800,000 homes be sold off to big real estate developers who just want to get rich on the backs of everyone else. The Liberals and the Conservatives created this housing crisis. Why should we trust them to solve it? The Honourable Minister of Public Services.
Libs are done, man.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have
everybody's attacking them.
Respect for my colleague, but he was too generous to the Conservative leader's time as housing minister. He didn't build 8 units; he built 6 units during his entire time as housing minister. Yet, the leader of the Conservative Party has no problem telling Quebec's mayors that they're incompetent. And also, he says that in housing co-ops, people live Soviet style. He says it's Soviet style to have social housing.
From Port Moody, Coquitlam.
Continue to violate the human rights of persons with disabilities. Even while they're getting sued by their own accessibility commissioner, this government continues to propose an inadequate and inaccessible Canada disability benefit. This is cruel and callous. This government has received over 10,000 pieces of input through consultation, and the Cabinet needs to act on it. Will the Liberals finally listen to the disability community, increase the benefit, unlock it from behind the inaccessible disability tax credit, and get it out to people now?
The Honourable Minister for Disability Inclusion.
Mr. Speaker, our government has done more than any other government when it comes to supporting and building a more accessible Canada. Once again, our government is stepping up, delivering a new historic support in the Canada Disability Benefit, which is going to help over 600,000 Canadians with disabilities. While the NDP and the Conservatives are focused on their own political ambitions, Mr. Speaker, we're focused on delivering for some of the most vulnerable in our communities. And Mr. Speaker, we're on track to deliver this benefit next July. Thank you.